Coming right up, Straight Talk with Art Levine. Our guest tonight, Orange County Supervisor John Moorlach, here on Straight Talk this evening.
Opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Charter Communications nor its sponsors. We recognize our obligation to present opposing points of view by responsible spokespersons. For information, please contact the director of program.
She stands in the face of evil and will not lose hope or faith. America, the land of freedom, is still the home of the brave. So raise the banner, call no glory. Let us join our fellow man. History will write the story. America will always stand.
Straight Talk is brought to you in part by Southern California Edison. For over 100 years, life powered by Edison. The Press Telegram, your local news leader for over 100 years. And Long Beach Magazine. Coastal Living, City Style.
Join us for tonight's edition of Straight Talk. And now your host, Art Levine.
Good evening and welcome to Straight Talk. We're delighted you're joining us tonight. This is our first regular taping at the Advanced Media Production Studio on the campus of California State University, Long Beach. We're delighted that in the future our shows will all be coming to you from Long Beach State, where I've had the honor of teaching for the last 35 years. Our first guest here on campus is a distinguished alum of Long Beach State, Orange County Supervisor John Moorlach. John, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me, Art. Good to be back.
We're delighted that you're here for this first taping here on our campus, your old haunting grounds.
It's great to be back home.
Let me give you a little background about John. He was very prescient years ago when he was running for Orange County Treasurer, and his campaign was based on the belief that the then Treasurer's investment policy for the Orange County funds and the pension funds was too risky. No one really listened to John, and 4 months later, Orange County went bankrupt in the largest municipal bankruptcy in Orange County history. John was then appointed as the acting treasurer, subsequently was elected several times as treasurer, then went on to become elected as Orange County Supervisor. So, John, thank you for that public service. John is a graduate of our College of Business here at Long Beach State, where he learned accounting and finance, so we chalk one up for Long Beach State on that one.
I remember getting a phone call after the filing of bankruptcy, and it was a former Cal State graduate, and he said, boy, it wasn't someone from Harvard, it was someone from Cal State, and so it was a great voicemail. Wish I could have kept it.
Well, today you are concerned about another problem and have been speaking out about the problems of pensions for some time and the need for pension reform, and you see this as a ticking time bomb just as you did the other.
Correct. This last 10 years has been very interesting. We enjoyed a rather dramatic run-up in the stock market in the late 90s, and found with a lot of our pension systems, public pension systems, that we were fully funded. Instead of saying, boy, we better keep those excess earnings, or whatever we call this overfunded, we should prepare for the down cycle. Instead, the public employee unions in the state said, why don't we improve our retirement formulas, and let's make them retroactive to the date of hire. So all of a sudden we went from 100% funded, and if you give a 50% increase in your benefits, you now had 150% problem, so you were 2/3 funded.
Just by vote of these elected officials, bingo, from fully funded to just 2/3 funded.
2/3 funded. So we've been behind for the last 10 years, and now you add to that this dramatic down market that we've had twice now in these last 10 years. We are now in extremely poor shape for most of the pension systems in the state, including the two major
You know,
plans
even
for
the
state.
Egyptians, thousands of years ago, understood that in good times, when you had a good harvest, you didn't eat it all, you put it in those silos. And you saved for the bad times. It's kind of a no-brainer.
7 years of feast, 7 years of famine. You should be preparing for those cycles. This is, yeah, it's like this is thousands and thousands of years of experience. And what's really interesting about public employee unions is that when times are good, they get pay raises, they get benefit enhancements, and when times are bad, they look at the taxpayers and say you should be paying more in taxes.
Well, I know there's a growing concern, some might even say anger, in the man in the street who is assuming he or she has a job and doesn't have the kind of benefits that are available in the private sector, and all this tax money is going to fund these very, very substantial benefits. I should state for the record that I am a state employee. I do benefit from the pension plan of the state, but the concept of sustainability is an important one, both in construction and landscaping, but it's also true of pensions. We need to have sustainable pensions, and I think one of your arguments is that the current levels are not sustainable.
Well, you just have to ask a former pilot, a retired pilot or a retired steel worker, what it's like to get a little postcard in the mail that says, you know, we don't have enough money to invest to pay your benefits in full, but we have enough to pay 40% of your your pension benefits, so we're going to give you a 60% reduction in your benefit. And then you try and react to that. That could potentially happen to your pension, could happen to mine. So I'm not anti-public employee. That's not the message. The message is I'm an accountant who's saying, you know, you keep going in this direction. You may too get a little card that says we can't pay you what we thought we were going to or what we said we would because we don't have the resources available to do it.
I think it's, and God bless our public employees for what they provide and their dedication, but I think that there's a growing consensus that pensions need to be adjusted and that we have to get into a more economically rational mode. And in the next segment, I know you've done some things in Orange County, and even though most of our cities are in LA County, I think you'll find it very interesting to find out what John and some of his colleagues have done in Orange County to begin to address the pension problem. So we'll be back with more of Straight Talk after these messages.